Hi, my name is Bella, and today I'm going to be talking about why women's representation in leadership benefits everyone. Here is my audience. My purpose with today's speech is to basically persuade my audience that increasing women's representation in leadership benefits companies because different perspective leads to better decisions. So, how many of you have ever worked on a group project where everyone had completely different ideas? Usually those groups come up with better solutions because everyone brings something different to the table. Personally, I think leadership should work the same way. When people are making important decisions that come from all similar backgrounds, there's a chance that certain viewpoints can get overlooked. That's why I think it's very important that we increase women's representation in leadership. To me, leadership isn't about who's just in charge. It's about the ideas being heard when important decisions are being made. The more that I looked into this topic, I realized that it's really about making sure different perspectives are part of the conversation. To prepare for this speech, I researched reports from the UN Women, McKinsey & Company, LeanIn.org, Pew Research Center, Catalyst, and Harvard Business Review to better understand the barriers women face in leadership and why representation matters. First, I will discuss the problem of women's underrepresentation in leadership positions. Second, I'll explain some of the barriers that contribute to the issue. And finally, I will discuss practical solutions organizations can implement and explain why increasing women's representation in leadership benefits everyone. To understand why this issue matters, we first need to look at the current state of women's representation in leadership. Raise your hand if you have ever worked on a group project where everyone had similar ideas or experiences. Now raise your hand if you think someone with a different perspective could have improved the group's decisions. That same principle applies to leadership. Women have come a long way over the last few decades, but when you look at who's actually leading companies and organizations, women are still underrepresented. According to UN Women, a United States organization focused on gender equality, women are still underrepresented in leadership positions around the world. Even though we've made a lot of progress, there's still a gap when it comes to leadership positions. According to the Pew Research Center, women made up about 46% of managers in the United States in 2023, compared to 29% in just 1980. While this is a huge progress, women still make up a slightly larger share of the overall workforce than they do in management positions, indicating that there's still room for improvement. Why does this matter? Well, the point is that women don't automatically make better leaders. It's that when people with different experiences are part of the conversation, organizations are more likely to consider ideas that might be overlooked. At the end of the day, I feel like it's just very important for people to feel represented when leadership includes different perspectives and experiences. If women are entering the workforce in record numbers and making progress in management, why do leadership gaps still exist? Well, I'd like everyone to think about this. Imagine if 2 employees are equally qualified, hardworking, and motivated. Do you think they should have the same opportunity to advance into leadership? Most people would say yes. However, research suggests that opportunities for advancement aren't always experienced by the same way by everyone. So why does this happen? Well, one reason is that the biggest barrier that actually happens much earlier than most people think. According to McKinsey and LeanIn.org, one of the biggest obstacles is something called the broken rung. Basically, this is where women are most likely to get their first promotion into management, what makes it harder to reach leadership positions later on. Another reason that workplace expectations aren't for everyone, well, according to Harvard Business Review, women's slower advancement into leadership is not simply the result of personal choices. Instead, workplace systems expectations, and the way companies are set up can unintentionally create obstacles that make advancement more difficult. For example, expectations surrounding long work hours, limited flexibility, and unequal access to sponsorship opportunities can affect who advances into leadership roles. Most of the barriers are intentional, but they still make it harder for qualified women to move into leadership roles. Again, why does this matter? Well, talented people don't get the same opportunities to move up in organizations, and organizations can miss out on great, strong leaders. That's why creating fair opportunities matters. The goal is not to promote someone because of their gender. It's about making sure everyone who is qualified has the same chance to lead. When organizations remove unnecessary barriers, leadership becomes more representation of the workforce, which allows decisions to reflect a broader range of views. The good news is that this isn't a problem without solutions. Let's look at some of those solutions. I'd like everyone to imagine you are the CEO of a company. You're choosing between two leadership teams. One is made up of people with nearly identical backgrounds and experiences, and the other team includes people with different experiences, perspective, and approaches to solving problems. Which team do you think would be better prepared to understand the needs of a diverse workforce? Well, most of us would probably choose the second team. One solution is making promotions more transparent and giving employees better access to mentors and sponsors. According to Catalyst, these kinds of programs help create stronger ways to help more people into leadership roles and give qualified employees a fair chance to move up. Increasing women's representation in leadership benefits not only women, but organizations and employees as a whole. According to McKinsey & Company and Leanin.org, organizations that build stronger leadership pipelines create more opportunities for talented employees and improve long-term organizational success. Again, this is not about saying that women are better at leaders than men. It's about making sure that different experiences are part of the conversation when important decisions are being made. According to the Women in the Workplace report by McKinsey & Company, creating a stronger leadership pipeline helps organizations develop talented employees and build more inclusive workplaces. As we're seeing today, increasing women's representation in leadership is about much more than simply filling leadership positions. It's about making sure that organizations aren't missing out on talented people and valuable perspectives. Today we discussed 3 important ideas. First, women remain underrepresented in many leadership positions despite significant progress. Second, research shows that barriers at work, such as unequal promotion opportunities, limited mentorship, and workplace structures, can make advancement much more difficult. And finally, we explored why practical solutions, including transparent promotion practices, mentorship, sponsorship, and leadership development programs that help organizations build stronger and more represented leadership teams. Overall, I think that organizations should work towards having more women in leadership because different perspectives are included, better decisions are made, and everyone benefits. Increasing representation is about replacing one group with another or giving anyone a fair advantage. It's about making sure who's qualified has the same chance to lead. So the next time that you think about leadership, don't just think who's sitting at the table with you. Think about who's missing from it. Because when more voices are included, everyone benefits. Thank you.